Hello, my name is Janice Grenadier. I live in the city of Alexandria, and I am here to support Aldo's quest to get in front of a grand jury. I have, since 2011, been on a similar quest, doing a little bit differently, but I really admire what they're doing, the people that are going and standing up and speaking out in the court and taking their own safety into their own hands. The grand jury is the fourth arm of government, and it belongs to we the people. In fact, every building that our government owns belongs to us. We should control our government, and we should be putting people into office who are doing our will, not their own personal will. We've allowed our government, our judiciary, and our legislature, they're like runaway governments. They have no respect for us. They're spending more money on following us and investigating us and using their power in the mechanisms where we're supposed to be able to investigate them to ensure that the people that are getting paid or that are chosen to be on those committees will not investigate them. In fact, they turn the tables. And when you go into Virginia in December, it's the one time we get to stand up against judges. And instead of listening to us, I think it's Senator Deeds, he basically stated to the judge, oh, don't pay attention to those people. They don't have anything to say. And even if they do say something, we're not going to listen to them. We have a legislature that's empowering our judges to act poorly because they know they're not going to be held accountable unless they hurt one of them. Now, if one of them lives and they wanted to win, you might get something out of it. But in Virginia, our judges are chosen by the legislature and the bar, and then they're covered up. The people, the bar, if you're like a Troutman Pepper, Hamilton Sanders, or Troutman Sanders, or Troutman Pepper, whatever they're going by now, you don't have to worry because you donate enough money and pay for enough parties. If there's several other large firms, and I spent over a couple $100,000 in legal fees at one point, and I was divorced, and I still don't have a property settlement. And I don't have a property settlement because I was warned. My ex-husband's father was a judge. If I go after anything, they would put my kids in foster care. And they had more power than I did. So I stayed silent until my kids were older. And I've paid a very dear price. But I don't want what's happened to me to happen to any of you. I still don't have a property settlement. And when they hired people to harm me, the Commonwealth attorney went to the police and said, don't take a report from her for anything. So we have to change that. And I know for a lot of people, you're sitting back and you're thinking, oh, what did she do wrong? Well, I didn't do anything wrong except for stand up for my rights. And if you don't think it can't happen to you, think again, because every single one of us, it doesn't matter what you do, you're breaking a law in the United States anymore. We have more laws. You don't even realize you could buy a piece of salmon and it was caught in the wrong type of water or on the wrong day, you went and bought it in the grocery store, that could be a felony against you. So if we don't stand up for each other and remind the courts that our Constitution overrides any illegal laws, administrative, and our Supreme Court actually just did some great moves in taking away the administrative power of the judges to make laws like that. And we need to continue to do that. I have a website, it's judicialpedia.com. Anyone is welcome to put their case up there and to explain what happened to them in the courts. We had over 5 million views last year, all worldwide. We will do more than that this year. You can put your bar complaints up there, your judicial complaints. We've got to make change. We've got to do it together. You'll notice up there I have a complaint that's been accepted into the Supreme Court of the United States to evaluate and to investigate the courthouse in DC, which is our civil rights courthouse, where we're supposed to be able to walk in and file a complaint for under 1983 or 241 and 242 and be treated fairly. And it's not happening. It's not happening in our state courts or federal courts. And the only way to change it, Aldo's right, we've got to take back the grand jury. We've got to have the fourth arm of government that belongs to us and be able to walk into our courthouses when the grand jury's meeting, do our own presentations to the grand jury, ask for a special grand jury in order to control the subpoenas that go out, to bring in witnesses, and have them under oath, have to answer. We have the right to that. We pay for it. So I hope each one of you will think about that and think about someone it's happened to. And think about how, I know I'm guilty of this. When 25 years ago, when it happened to a friend of mine, I thought, oh my God, she was a little crazy in high school. I was wrong, and I had to apologize because it wasn't her, it was the judges. And so next time you hear someone with a story like this, give them the grace and the kindness that they deserve, because it's not them. They aren't crazy. It's really what's happening in our courts. And if you're going through divorce, a guardianship, whatever it is, that there's liquid cash that the lawyers can get their hands on. And, you know, how do the judges get their hands on it? Some judges get their mortgages paid off. Some judges get nice weekends, getaways. They win at golf games. There's a lot of different ways that the money funnels back to the judges. Don't think for 1 minute there isn't a payback to the legislature, to our governor, to our attorney general, anybody involved in this scheme. So,
can you, do you feel comfortable telling me how you got the bruises on your arm and how long ago that happened?
That happened on July 15th, 2024.
Which is 10 days ago, and you can still see them.
Yeah. I was in Virginia Beach supporting Aldo and the grand jury there. And there was a young man by the name of Victor, and I say young man, he's I think 50, but I'm 65, so to me it's a young man. And he stood up, and all he did was say, point of order, and I would like to address the grand jury. And there had to be 6 to 8 police and sheriffs on top of him and surrounding him. I had lost sight of him. I became an ADA advocate in order to help people who get into these types of situations. Prior to the hearing, I'd introduced myself to the Commonwealth Attorney and given him my card as an ADA advocate. I had asked for the transcriber's card and asked permission to enter the well, and the sheriff said no, and he brought me the card. So they were well aware of the fact I had knowledge of the protocol in the courtroom and that I was respectful of it. And when I stood up, all I said is, I want to make sure that guy's okay. I said, I'm an ADA advocate. I want to make sure that guy's okay. I did not think he would maybe walk out of there alive. And when I said that, one of the sheriffs grabbed me, and he also had grabbed somebody else. But I was being used to open the door, to slam into the walls, and then even when he got me outside to cuff me, slamming me into the wall. And even though I was standing still, I was cooperating. I didn't do anything except to kind of just get into my own head and ignore what was happening, because it was so unbelievable. I had a large scratch here on my neck from what he had done, which, and I have been to the hospital and had x-rays, and all of my interior swelling is due to an assault. It's all the signs of having been assaulted. So you pay a dear price for standing up at times, but we have to do it. My generation will be the first generation who will leave their country worse off than what we entered it into if we allow it to keep going like this. My children will live in a country that's like Cuba, where you have to buy milk on the black market, where you have to survive in a communist country if we don't change things now. And I truly believe that.
Well, thank you for your story.